today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about how to create marital synergy, the flow state marriage. It is normal and natural for old patterns to come up. In fact, old patterns have to come up in order to be healed, right? Because the real purpose of marriage is not just to drop some seed on an egg and pop some kids in the world. The real purpose of a marriage is to help one another to engage in that state of becoming and be your best self. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today we are talking about the flow state marriage when safety, power, and purpose align. That's what I'm talking about, folks. And if I'm not mistaken, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Yeah, perfect kickoff of the new year. A listener asks, we're doing great, but how do we keep this going without slipping back into old patterns? Yes, what a perfect question for 2026. I sincerely hope that you are doing great as you hear this. But if you're not, listen up, because this podcast is all about the tools and the means to be doing great. All right, so let's talk about old patterns. The reality is we are all in a state of becoming. That sounds so esoteric. What does that mean? We all have who we are, who we were, and who we are becoming. Now, our minds only perceive time in bits and pieces, but the truth is that all that already exists. Quantum physics says that who we're becoming already exists. And so inside of us is who we were, maybe not our best self ever, who we're becoming, possibly our best self ever, and who we are now. All of that exists within us at the same time. And because all of that exists with us in the same time, and we are actually in a state of expressing that transformation, it is normal and natural for old patterns to come up. In fact, old patterns have to come up in order to be healed. It's not that we heal a pattern and then slip back into it. There are 4 requisites for change, all right? The first requisite for change is letting go of what's not working, the old patterns, the old stuff, the old beliefs, the old emotions. The second step is a strategy for moving forward and becoming. The next step is to adjust when things come up, because our strategy doesn't always take everything into account. And the last step is to keep your eyes on the prize as we move forward. So if an old pattern comes up, we're not actually slipping back into it. It's something that hasn't been healed and has been moving forward with us. I have an old pattern of bedwetting before I mastered the art of not wetting my bed. Now, truthfully, when I'm in my hundreds, or 120s, I'm thinking aspirationally here, that may come back. I understand that our ability to manage our body can diminish at that point in life. Maybe it's 150, what do I know? But that's not an old pattern coming back. That's a new pattern. The new pattern is the old gray mare ain't what she used to be. That wasn't a previous state. That's a new state. When something comes up that feels old, it's because we brought it with us. We didn't slip back into it. So it's a great question because it brings out so much. Now, the highest level of relationship with ourselves and with our partner, the highest level, or a better way to put it would be when all the pistons are firing. It's the highest, when we're the most efficient, productive level of relationship is what we call flow. Or another word might be synergy. When 2 individuals are in a flow state, they're just, something comes up and they handle it, and something comes up and they handle it, and something comes and they handle it, and the door opens and they walk through, and nothing gets in the way. When 2 people are flowing that way, when they're in a relationship with each other, a door opens up. Oh, wow, here's the thing we don't agree on. Wow, let's walk through it together. And that's synergy. And when the door opens up, they don't agree on which door to go to. A lot of times it goes like this. 2 people are moving along and one sees one door open, the other sees another door open. And the first one says, let's go here. And the other one says, let's go there. And then they say, wait a minute, let's talk about it. What is the advantage of there, what's the advantage of here? And as they're talking about it, a third door opens up. When they talk about it in a way that's creative and constructive, a new opportunity opens up. That's synergy. When two people are in a flow state together, that's synergy. Now, we can't be in a flow state when the old stuff, the old emotions, the old hurts, the old traumas are getting in the way. And a lot of times we pick partners who help us to heal that. My personal mission here at Rich in Relationship is to help couples work through that stuff, to be in a flow state, to have synergy. Flow state partnerships are emotionally safe. They're mutually empowering, and they are purpose-driven. We talked about the 4 P's of prosperity in the last episode. Let's see if I can remember it. Provision. And we said provision isn't just making the money, it's what you do with it. Presence. It isn't just, 95% of life is showing up, but it's about being emotionally present. Partnership. Different comes up. Hey, we're in a partnership. We don't have to go through your door. We don't have to go through mine. There might be another way. I'm missing one. Purpose. There's our individual purposes. And in the marriage, in a synergistic marriage, there's a shared purpose that enhances our individual purposes. Oh, I love that. Right? Because the real purpose of marriage is not just to drop some seed on an egg and pop some kids in the world. The real purpose of a marriage is to help one another to engage in that state of becoming and be your best self, that best self that already exists in the future. And in some sense, you know who it is. You feel who it is inside of you. So let's talk about my buddies, Brad and Gwen. After years of growth, Brad and Gwen finally felt aligned. They were rock stars. They had shared leadership. Gwen knew what she was in charge of. Brad knew what she was in charge of. If Gwen got sick, though, Brad knew enough about what she was in charge of to step in, and vice versa. They knew each other's jobs. They knew who was responsible for what, who was best at what. They had that. They had caring communication, regular deposits into the emotional bank. Their emotional portfolio, their relationship portfolio was abundant. Their financial portfolio was pretty abundant too. They pursued individual goals. They pursued joint goals. Their individual goals fed their joint goals. Their joint goals fed their individual goals. They had safety. They felt safest when they were with each other. They felt safer with each other than they have felt in any relationship since childhood, since maybe being in the womb. They had consistent emotional trust, psychological trust, let's call it. That's not a very warm term, is it? There was power, balanced leadership and autonomy. There was purpose, shared mission, joy in the hurdles as they leapt over them together and contributed to one another's lives and their children's lives. They were there. One day, Brad got offered an opportunity to make a whole bunch more money. And Brad had had a vision for their family, a vision that they were going to have a shared beach home. Brad and Gwen's kids were grown up at this point, by the way. A shared beach home, and Brad and Gwen's kids were starting to have children. A shared beach home where Brad and Gwen could take their kids could take their kids, where Brad and Gwen could join them. It would be like a family compound. It was kind of a vision for the future. It was a legacy property for their family, an opportunity for their family, for their kids to get to know each other, a place where they could bring other family members. It was like a joy place. And Brad had an opportunity to make the money that they needed for that place quickly. But he was going to need to take some time out from their perfect marriage to do that. And Gwen was like, no, it's not. And Brad was like, no, Gwen, this is part of who I am. Who I am is I need to create this legacy for my family. I need to know that the foundation of my kids is secure. I need to know that when my kids grow up, they will know each other and be connected. I need to know that there's a way that I can communicate to our grandchildren our values, what's important to me. And Gwen said, all right, but you're not doing it alone. We're going to go in this together. And Brad was like, wait, what? What do you mean we're going to go and do this together? She said, if you're going to go do this thing, that's going to make us all this money, and you're going to need to put in that intense startup time to do it in another city, I'm going with you. I can work from there. I'm your partner. I'm all in. But here's the deal, Brad. You say that after 90 days, you're going to be able to back off, that this thing will have started up and that you'll have people trained who can take it over. All right. You need to show me every week how we're moving towards that goal. I need to see your business plan. I need to contribute to your business plan. I will help you. I will support you. I will even step into that business with you when you need me to. But I need to know that you're going to come back. That this isn't going to be a late life run away and make money kind of thing just because you feel like you need to do that. Brad was like, all right. It was a possibility he did not see. There's a possibility she did not see. The third door. We supported Brad and Gwen in doing this, and Brad, first year, made $1 million. Gross, not net. The feds took, well, a better way to put it would be, that Brad chose to give the federal government a third of that to support all the missions that the federal government, all the ways that it makes us safe and uplifts us. That's how we're official party line. And they had that property, and their kids know each other and are growing up there, and Brad and Gwen are there with their kids. Synergy. Gwen could have kicked his butt about it. Brad could have said, to hell with you, Gwen, I'm doing it anyway. But they found a third way, a synergistic way. They had flow. And so as we go into 2026, I am inviting you to see your marriage as synergistic. And if you're experiencing it not as synergistic, we're going to kick off what I was calling the business of family. We're actually going to call it the Prosperous Partnership Series in 2026. The Prosperous Partnership Series, that's like coming up. Next episode, we're going to kick it off. The Prosperous Partnership Series is all about empowering you to have a marriage that's rich in relationship. And if you notice that there's something that's difficult for you, that you have maybe you have some old emotions or some old beliefs that are getting in the way, reach out. Go to The Bridge, our relationship community at richinrelationship.com, and there is an opportunity to schedule a free call with me, and I will help you to figure out what that thing is so that you can, 1, let go of it, 2, create a strategy for moving forward, 3, take those actions and adjust as the unexpected comes up, and 4, keep your eyes on the prize so that you get there. And in the meantime, have an amazing day and a fantastic tomorrow.